viewers at live? Or?
After.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Yep. And then I just want to come over. Hey everybody, my name is Christopher Lengyel. I'm a retired Army veteran, and this is Help Me PTSD live stream video. Today I have a guest, Jeremy from the Mesa Veteran Center. Jeremy, thanks for being here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do in the community out here in Arizona for our veterans.
Okay. My name is Jeremy. I am a Marine Corps veteran, Afghanistan combat veteran. I've been out for about 5 years now, and right now I'm currently the outreach specialist for the Mesa Vet Center. What I do is typically go out in the community, explain what the Vet Center is, as well as point veterans and family members in the right direction as far as resources and see whatever they need benefits wise and things like that. So been working with the Vet Center for about 4 years now. It's a pretty great program. It's part of the VA. What we typically do is readjustment counseling for combat veterans and their family members. Usually we do individual counseling, group counseling, marital counseling, as well as taking bereavement cases for family members that died while on active duty. We do have about 300 vet centers nationwide, typically in the rural areas. We also have about 80 mobile vet centers.
Can I interrupt you for a minute? For our viewers that are out of state, if they are, I know here in Phoenix where we're located at, it's the Mesa Veteran Center is where you guys are at. If there's someone from out of state or they want to look into, do you know the number or where they would call to find out where the vet center is in their state?
They can go online to va.vetcenter.gov, and it will show all the locations of the vet centers in the United States.
Okay, so that's va.vetcenter.gov. That you can go on, find out where the vet center is in your state, and have access to those programs and counseling that goes on in your different veteran center.
Definitely.
Anyways, continue on.
And like Chris was saying, it is nationwide, so other vet centers may have different community resources than others. So it varies from state to state, but we are unique in a way from the rest of the VA because we are allowed to see active duty members, National Guardsmen, and you don't have to be enrolled into the VA healthcare system to be eligible for our services.
So there's a big difference between the VA and what you guys do from what I'm seeing. So this operates in collaboration with, but separate from,
yes,
the VA. And what I'm understanding is that even if you're not able to go to the VA for medical treatment, but you've been in the military, National Guard, reserves, you still have the ability to use the resources at the veteran centers that exist.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And it's free of charge. It's part of the VA. We also have a different record system than for service for a victim of military sexual trauma or having a loved one while
stress disorder, acute traumatic stress. It comes down to PTSD. I've tried to look at this as a broad spectrum of issues. A lot of times what we think up front as being military, there's a lot of other places that it bleeds into, even involving a military trauma. For instance, the family system and what that does to a family at home. You had mentioned a little bit ago before we were talking about how the Veteran Center can also see children of certain ages, depending on and it's a case-by-case situation, but they do go above and beyond to try to help the family if that's what it's going to take. What I guess is if that's where you're at and the point they're at to see hey, we need to see the family too, you're willing to make those accommodations. Can you talk a little bit about what you do for the adolescents that maybe have mom or dad overseas and maybe they lost them while they were there?
So yeah, I mean, typically those would be the bereavement cases. They're just having a hard time readjusting to having one of their parents pass away while on active duty. So typically we'll do grief counseling with them, help them understand what the trauma was, and help them understand it a little bit better. There's no set program as far as what counseling we do.
Right.
It's all about readjusting back to society and being a productive member of society again. But we do offer like prolonged exposure therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy as well. But that's just if that's something that somebody thinks that they could benefit from, then we'll typically do it. But some vet centers, they also do EMDR therapy, which has been really successful for a lot of veterans. We do spouse support groups. For my vet center, we have one on Monday, every other Monday at 2 p.m. for military spouses to help them better understand what PTSD is and what their veteran is going through.
Because the biggest thing about getting through a traumatic event, or if you're someone that suffers from PTSD, and you're married, or you have a significant other, or even your kids that are in the environment, there's a certain level of education that needs to happen from the people around you, so that they can be the best positive support for you. A lot of times, I know for me it was, they want to be close to you and hold on to you, and they don't understand that it's like, no, I just need to be away. And a lot of these, the support groups for the spouses, the military spouses, which at the Mesa Veteran Center, they do military only. It's veteran and active duty military, or their spouses, the spouses support group. That's a safe haven for just military. What I do, even though yes, I am a retired Army veteran, I see a demographic need for a lot of different things. So while I rely on Jeremy to send some of my vets to that maybe don't feel comfortable at our support group, that option is there. If you're not a veteran, the support groups I run are the first and third Wednesday of the month, and they're located at 710 West Elliott at Harvest of Arizona. And those are for trauma survivors. It's not whether it's military, whether it's civilian, mom, dad, brother, sister. The only thing that we ask is that the person at our support groups is 18 or above. They have to be an adult, just to maintain the integrity of the group and what's said. It is a safe place where people can freely discuss, share, or not share. And for that purpose, I have to maintain the age limit at that adult level. But no, that's great that you provide that kind of support. So is there, with the vets that you see, is there something like even you maybe have used in your personal life to be able to get out of an anxiety attack, or something that you might have picked up over the last couple of years that you've been out that's really helped you and your family?
I think one of the key things is, especially with PTSD, a lot of people typically like to isolate themselves from others and loved ones. So having a strong support system with your family members or friends, getting back out in the community, doing things once enjoyed, is part of how I recover from PTSD. Is throwing myself out there, getting back into things that I love, and even with what I do now, helping veterans in the community. If it's just one veteran that I help, or even family member, I felt like I'd done my job that day.
Right, and that's right. It's difficult though for vets, for people just getting out of the Army. I was talking to someone the other day, and maybe sometimes it helps to explain this. And I don't know. It might be. Well, I think you're a Marine. I think it's a little bit. I think the Marines' basic training is like a step above the Army, which is a step above the Navy, which is a step above the Air Force. No offense, Air Chair. Love you guys, but anyways, they do a good job at pretty much brainwashing you. Mm-hmm. We'll just say it. They're brainwashing you to become a combative killer, essentially. and there's no way of getting around that. Whether your job's a cook, whether it's a office manager, supply, whatever it is, the mentality in the Army and in the Marines more so, is that you're a soldier first. They do put that. They put that into you. You're a soldier first, and the mission at hand comes first. And sometimes that mission might not always be cooking the meal, or might not always be filing the paperwork, because when you go down range and you're in war, that's what you're faced with. You're faced with those life or death situations, and you're either going to take action or not. Basic training and AIT, advanced individual training, or your secondary training after you go through basic training, that whole time period is a forget everything you ever learned about society, about civilian life, about anything you ever thought, and you're going to relearn it this way. And that's great, and it makes solid soldiers. I can't speak for now at basic training. There's some real questionable things with cell phones and stress cards going on. I don't know. That's a different topic for a different day. But bottom line is, they're training soldiers. They're training warriors. And I look at it as like, okay, it took, let's say, 2 years. Right off the bat, you sign a 4-year contract. Your first 2 years are training. And it's nonstop drill instructors on you, pretty much. Once you get to AIT, it might be some breaks and whatnot. But it's 2 years, or the better half of 2 years, sometimes longer depending on your school, that you're in this warrior mentality. I'm training, they're brainwashing you to be, this is how you think, this is how you act.
Definitely.
And when you get out of the military, they put you through like a 4-week ACAP program. 4 to 6, maybe 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And so they're not even undoing what they did. Now they're just like, here, listen, fill your application, fill your resume, check the box, boom, 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 and get out. And they put you back out into a civilian world where now this training, this mentality doesn't work.
Exactly.
It doesn't work here. And what does that look like for a lot of our vets coming back? To me, and this is me speaking from my opinion, it looks like intoxication, drunk, getting wasted face, DUIs, domestic violence. It's looking like all these issues that are spawning up because they didn't take the time to brainwash you, to retrain you, or at least get you back to this is how the civilian world works again. And I don't think the military is equipped to do that, to be honest. With as much as they try, and don't get me wrong, I have nothing bad to say about the military. I love the military. If I could go back into today, I would sign another 6-year contract, but that's just not an option for me. However, I just think that we need to do a better job of looking at the reality and stepping up and having these conversations to start building the programs to put in place to help retransition, to retrain our soldiers to be more civilian-like, because it's never going to go away. But I think that we could do a better job at reintegrating and getting them back to hey, things kind of happen a little bit slower here. People don't take orders with 4 fingers in your face. I can't. The last time I did that, it was like, what are you? What?
Yeah.
They pushed my hand away, and I just looked, and I was like, "Are you about to hit me?" And I was like, "No, this is just how I talk to people."
Oh yeah.
And it's like some of those things that people, they don't get, and they're kind of ingrained. And yes, it's okay in our military, family and our brotherhood and sisterhood that we have with the military. But some of those things don't fly anymore in the civilian life, and I think we could come together and do a better job at educating.
Definitely.
But let's see. Do you have any other programs today that you'd like to go over that you guys offer, or a way to contact you if you're a vet or a spouse of a vet, or active duty? That's a huge one. Active duty that don't want this to go on their medical records. Seek out your veteran center. They cannot